Previously on Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma. This is the Commandant quarters at Fort Reno. Faucets and lights being turned off and on.
And then I was walking around with a flashlight, just looking for different things. And then Kathy found some bones.
Definitely not paranormal, so it's hokey.
Because they were POWs, they're like consigned to the damned area of the cemetery.
If you're ever driving along here on a rainy night, be on the lookout for that vagabond. Welcome to another episode of Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Across the countryside, Oklahoma is dotted with ruins and abandoned structures. Some of these buildings were constructed for oil boom towns, or towns that disappeared because the railroads decided to build in another direction, or even an old ranch or homestead. Some, however, were local buildings that served a small community far removed from the nearest town. Once motorized transportation became quicker and more commonplace, these buildings became deprecated and fell out of use. One such building was the new Bethany Baptist Church off the beaten path in Olive Township. Once a small community church, it now lies in ruins, beaten, battered, and missing its roof, just a shell of its former self. After the church was abandoned, occult practices were attempted there, and people investigating the site have seen many strange shadows lurking about. Although it's now named for the nearby creek, its current title sounds foreboding: Black Bear. Back in the early 1900s, this was the new Bethany Baptist Church. We don't really have a date as to when it was built, although we know that it was not here in 1906. We have a map from back at that time. The cemetery was here in 1906. The church was not yet built. In the 1940s, however, they did have a scrap metal drive where they were raising funds for the church and then donating the scrap metal to the World War II movement. By 1972, the church was gone. It left the maps again. So it was sometime before that they abandoned the church. We don't really know why. There's speculation. Could just be that it was a rural church. People were going into town. Some people think that there were cult practices going on here, but it's certainly after it closed there have been. In the past, on this stone slab here, there have been some animal bones found. Look like animal sacrifices being done here. So certainly, people trying to do cultish acts were going on back here. Society of the Haunted members have had many experiences here.
I got to right about here, and I was standing here listening, and I was looking down because I had my light to see if I could see something in there, an animal or whatever. And as I was standing here with my light, this huge gust of wind came up from the basement, and something hit me in the corner, and it knocked me back, and I landed right about here.
When you're in the building at nighttime and you're looking around and you're walking around, you feel like you're being watched through all the windows from the outside.
We just felt an ominous feeling, and we knew that there was something in the basement, and so the group had decided to sing church hymns in order to make whatever it was try to dissipate or to see what would happen, and the feeling finally went away. Prior to that happening, we had someone jump on me because they saw a shadow crawling towards them, and I actually captured a picture of this crawler at the corner of the church upstairs, and I captured numerous photographs that were of light, balls of light, probably maybe 5 of them, something like that. And I also captured outside a photograph of faces. It's like nothing but pictures of different shapes of faces in a mist.
Okay, now when we've taken photographs here, we've gotten some interesting illuminated balls of light that look self-illuminated. I picked up one, it's probably like right about up here. Kathy's picked up a few, have gotten some like around the windows, and there have been stories about shadow people looking in the windows, a crawler around the what used to be the roof. So definitely some great activity and photography that we've been able to pick up here.
My impressions at Black Bear were that we were being watched, that things were circling around the building, maybe looking through the windows at us. I didn't really get the sense that whatever was there was coming in. The area is interesting. There are definitely a few spots within that seem to have some sort of occult or magical resonance to them. I know we found some evidence at an altar that maybe they've been doing some ceremonial work there. People are quick to point out that Satanism, etc., but it could be anything.
Now, directly across the street from the church is the Black Bear Cemetery, which was originally the Baldwin Cemetery, named after the family who moved here and donated the land over there for the cemetery, owned it as a farm. The first time I came here with Logan and Kathy, we were actually driving across from the church to here because there were coyotes out that night, and so we didn't want to, have any trouble with that. So we actually drove the car across here, and when we were coming back out to get into the car, we heard footsteps coming from down the road headed this way. We thought one of the locals was coming down to check us out, see what was going on with the flashing lights and all that from our investigation. So we got in the car and drove all the way down because they were that loud. We thought somebody was truly walking our way, but we didn't find a soul. Welcome to another edition of Paranormal Vines. Today we're actually going to be bottling our paranormal pomegranate. We have the bottles already cleaned. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is actually get a stabilizing solution together. We're going to add a little of the potassium sorbate to it. First, we actually need a little bit of the wine to mix into it, and then we'll add it to the wine later after we siphon it off. So let's go ahead and open this up. Ooh, it smells good. Okay, now this is where gravity actually becomes our friend. Down here is where I have the bowl from the KitchenAid. And what I'm going to do is siphon out of here down into the bowl. And there it goes. And stir. The reason why I'm using this, it's 6 gallons, we only have a gallon of wine, but the spigot makes it really easy for bottling. So we'll put it in this massive bucket. And away we go. Here we are at Fort Chaffee in Arkansas. We've got the abandoned part of the fort here, the old historic section. While I was out here, I picked up a local wine made by Post Family Vineyards, and this is a red muscadine. It's a semi-sweet, 12% alcohol. We might have a little fun with this sometime. Okay, now we're finally to the fun part where we're bottling it and then we can label it and store it. This is our corker, and really this just goes on straight like that. And let me move these to the side so I don't injure anything. And it just, boom, that's it. I appreciate you joining me today for Paranormal Vines. Next time we are actually going to start a new wine. I still have the poll up on the website for either the Oklahoma Watermelon or the Ohio Concord. I will let you decide which we're going to do next. Until next time. Now when you first walk into the cemetery, we have this large headstone here for the Baldwins, Arthur and Maggie. Arthur is the patriarch of the family who moved here during the land rush to go ahead and claim this land that the cemetery now rests. And the church across the street was built later on, not on his land, but parishioners from there were buried here.
I remember when we were at the cemetery, we had a psychic that was following us around that was talking about a man by the name of Jenkins, I think.
Bartholomew Jenkins.
Bartholomew Jenkins. And we were pretty much having a back and forth conversation through the psychic with this person. I felt, like cold spots and different things like that.
We came in through the main gate and had started to come into the church, and we had looked down the road here, and right by this tree, right just a little bit before that shadow, right about there, there was a small black figure. It was about this tall up, and it was probably about that long. We thought it was a dog, and we heard growling. It was growling. The other guy in front of it was a cop, so of course he was fearless, and he took off running after it right down this path here. And he got down, probably got a good 20 feet in front of it, and it shot up into the tree right there.
The second time that we were here, Dustin and I were checking out the headstones in this area. Notice this one, last name Allen, from the map that we have dating back to 1906. And notice the dates on here, John L. 1920, 2005, was exactly the same as the one behind it. John Langdon Allen, 1920, 2005, exact same dates. So he and I are taking a look at this and make the comment that this one apparently was put in here by the Navy, exactly the same for the same person. Got an EVP confirming that said correct. It's really really kind of interesting to have that sort of intelligent response to something that we were talking about with the headstones. There's a second marker for John right here from the Navy. So he's got two markers. So he's got two markers. So he's got two markers. First time I was here, got this fantastic EVP. Logan was headed that way toward the car because we were leaving. Kathy was over by him. I was kind of wandering through the headstones here and picked up an EVP that said, "My teeth are warm." Probably one of the crazier EVPs we've ever gotten. It was a Class A, very, very clear. And here it is.
I think it's an interesting location, and it's probably one of the more unique locations we visited.
Leviathan.
Next time on Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma.
It was a lot of fun to write. It was a lot of work. All kinds of fun ghost stories in it. Go through your own ghost tour with this, drive around the state. And I want his. He's jealous of mine. I didn't wear my hat.
Did you work here at the ranch?
Actually, I came over with the EMF detector to come over to the doorway and immediately started getting some hits right around here. It's kind of...
I heard a moan.
I heard a couple of moans.
Throughout our lives, so many things are forgotten. How much more so in the great expanse of our world and its history? Perhaps as those things fall beyond our recollection, something else discovers them. Until next time.